Retirement is supposed to be stress-free. You're enjoying life. You step away from all of the nonsense of the workplace and all of the frustration, and you're enjoying your life. You're sitting on the beach, just chilling, having a good time. It's all good, but there's one stressor that I see with so many people that are retired, and that's making your money last. The markets aren't easy to watch. You're going to open up your accounts, and one day you're up, $100,000. If you've got $1 million, 10% gain is $100,000. But then if you have a 10% loss that year, you're down $100,000. That's hard to stomach when you've worked so hard for all of this money for so long. Well, we've got to figure out how to make your money last even in a bad market. So let's take a look here. Let's look at Retired Roger. I built this out with Nest Egg, a software we use for clients here at Jazz Wealth. And if we're looking, Roger looks great right this second. He's got a 92% probability of success of having about $1.1 million at the end of his life. He's 61 years old. He plans to live on $5,100 a year. He's got $800,000, little bits. 25% of that is in Roth. The rest of it's in pre-tax, just to give you a breakdown of where he's at. So if we're looking here, he's planning to take Social Security at 70. He's actually not. And I'll show you in a minute. Roger's one of those. He's like, my dad died early. I think I'm healthier, but I'm not giving that money to the government. That was my Roger voice, if you didn't catch that. So if we're looking here and we say, okay, Roger's going to take Social Security early. All right, well, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to make this adjustment here, and we're going to say he's going to take it early. It gives him about a 5% probability less here, though you're not talking a big difference in money. I mean, $32,000 roughly, $33,000 is the difference. So it's not a significant difference. But what happens if the market has a massive pullback? If we see a massive pullback, that's what we've got to look at here with Roger and figure out what is best for his scenario. Now, if we go right here and we say the equity markets drop 30%, he's going to go down to 64%. Well, personally, as a planner, I'm looking at 64% of probability of success. When you're in your 70s, 70%, 80%, it's not too bad, because we're also looking at this number. We're also looking at something else called the cash flow. The cash flow is going to show us a whole different scenario when it comes to this, where it's really looking at things and it's saying, okay, we've got this as far as it goes in a linear fashion. So he's going to get, let's say a 7% return on his money every single year. The money's coming in, the money's going out. That's what we're looking at there. But in this, the Monte Carlo looks at 1,000 scenarios, and it gives us this probability of success. It's a little more conservative, but 64%, I'm not ultra comfortable telling Roger, hey, take Social Security at 62 years old. The markets just fell 30%. Now, you would think that that's actually backwards, because a lot of times advisors will tell you, hey, take Social Security early if the market falls. That's the option. This is where planning comes into play, because that's not always the best scenario. And in Roger's, if we look here and we say, well, you know what? Roger's going to take Social Security at 70 instead. There's a 30% pullback. He's now pushing 70%. Again, we still have about a 5% spread on the probability of success in his retirement. But when you're in the 60s, wouldn't you rather have a 69% than a 64%? I'd much rather give him that information and make him do that instead. So now let's go back, because there's other stuff that Roger wants to do. Roger wants to talk about, hey, you know what? I want to be really aggressive with my money. And rightfully so. If I'm looking at this plan here and I look here at Roger, let's get this back going. He's sitting here and he says, I want this to be 100% in equities. And here is why. I'm going to potentially have $2 million at the end of my life that I can leave my kids versus 1.1 million. And look here, it's only a 1% probability difference. Now you're probably saying, well, why is there a 1% less in having $2 million? The reason for that is if you're investing in the stocks, this probability of success and the way this looks at it, the Monte Carlo is saying there's 29 years of Roger's life still to cover. That's, until age 90. Looking at that specific scenario in his life, there's 29 years of market return projections. This gets a little bit risky if everything's 100% in the stock market versus if you have a little bit of bonds or maybe some currently money market funds sitting in there. You're not just overly saturated just in the most aggressive portfolio that you can be. And so in his scenario, though, he wants to leave this money and he's looking at that. Well, let's go ahead and take a look now and let's see what this could look like. Now, remember, If he were to take Social Security at 70 and the current allocation, which is about a 60-40 mix for his scenario here, he would have a 69.6 probability of success. Well, remember, he's got, a lot of opportunity here. He's wanting to leave his kids $900,000 more if he gets aggressive. But what happens if he gets aggressive and then the market pulls back? You're talking 60% probability, 9% difference, 60% probability of success. I'm not comfortable again telling Roger, hey, man, this is where you need to be. So you've got to think through not just what today is coming up with when it comes to your financial plan and your retirement. You've got to really think through the stress factors, the stress test of what happens when the market falls. Because ultimately, the markets will go down. That's just an unfortunate scenario that's going to happen. If you look day to day, the markets go up, the markets go down, and historically, they've always appreciated or went up. But in the short term, there will be downfalls there. And so one other thing we got to look at, though, is if you were wanting to make a big purchase, because remember, we're wanting to make your retirement dollars last. So what happens if you're wanting to make a large purchase in a down market? Well, remember, Roger had $800,000. Well, let's just say that, a 30% pullback would give him a lot less money. But let's just say that we have a little bit of a pullback and Roger's money is now $750,000 and he makes a purchase. He had $800,000, he made a $50,000 purchase. Well, the next year when the market recovers, Roger's going to have $802,500 on a 7% return. So, eventually the markets fall, they will start to recover. It's all about delaying the purchase. And let me show you exactly why. If you were to wait for the recovery to happen and Roger says, I've got $800,000. Once the market recovers, I'm back to my break even here. I get a 7% return. I make a $50,000 purchase. Well, he had $856,000. He's almost got enough money to cover the taxes, potentially depending on what tax bracket he's in, and the actual purchase, that $50,000 purchase. So it's really thinking through and trying to time, when you're in a down market, trying to time when the right time is to make this large purchase. Some people just get antsy and they say, you know what? The market's falling. I want to get out of it. I'm going to go ahead and buy the car now or buy the house or the RV in retirement because I don't even know if my money's going to be there. Well, that's not the best decision because you're making an emotional decision. So instead, you want to make sure that you're removing the emotion out. You're looking at a financial plan. You're not just looking at one scenario, but you're really starting to think through this to determine what is going to be best for you. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about Jazz Wealth and how we can help as fiduciary advisors, go to jazzwealth.com. If you want more educational content, be sure to check out our videos here.